Right. This is going to be about how I learned discipline through esports. Now, for those of you that know me, you'll know that esports has been a big part of my life. And it's taught me many important life lessons, and discipline was one of them. Now, some of you might also be thinking, discipline, esports? How do you learn discipline by just playing video games? Well, I'll tell you how. So, I was so obsessed. I was really obsessed. I got into esports when I was 17 years old. League of Legends esports team when I was 17 years old. I was by no means a naturally good player. Right, when I first started the game, I couldn't even kill the easiest leveled computer-controlled enemy. Like, I was terrible. I had to work my way up there. Now, I have this very obsessive personality, as I came to learn, that I wasn't aware of at the time. And I was just obsessed with the game. I became obsessed with how I improve. Like, how do I get better? I'm so bad at this game. How do I stop being so bad at this game? So I went on my way, and I did all this research, kept practicing more than everybody else, blah, blah, blah. All I cared about was being good at this game. 17-year-old me didn't care about school, didn't care about grades, didn't care about friends and girlfriends. All I cared about was being good at this game. Now, some people might be sitting there thinking, well, isn't he addicted? That's video game addiction. Well, there's a difference. There's a difference between esports players and people that are addicted to video games. People that are addicted to video games only play them for the pleasure. They only play them because it's fun in the moment. Right? You sit there and you're like, I'm bored. I want to do something fun. Play video games. Come home from work. Oh, I'm tired. Can't be bothered to do anything. Play some video games. There's nothing else to it. They just do it for the pleasure. That's it. Now, with an esports player, it's slightly different. Yes, of course, they find playing the video game fun as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't be playing it, right? That's the main reason you play a video game. But the difference in lies is how you see the video game. So the people that are addicted only see the video games as a source of pleasure and dopamine. Esports players are different because they see the video game as a training ground. They see it as a tool to get to where they want to be. Because esports players have a goal with the video game, and they need to use that video game to reach that goal, which is the difference. And this is where discipline comes in. Now, how do I learn discipline? Well, like I said, all I cared about was being good at the game. I didn't know I had to learn all these other skills as well. And to be good at the game, you have to make a team, right? You can't just go Rambo, and especially in League of Legends, and just expect to compete, right? To compete in the scene, you need to have a team, period. And eventually I had to make a team because I wanted to get to the highest level I could possibly get, which means I had to make a team. So I thought it was going to be sunshine and rainbows. Going to be, let's get a group of people together, just me and 4 other people that also want to play the game, that also is as good as I am at the game. And, we're just all going to play together, work together, and then stomp some other teams, and hooray, yay, it's going to be fun, yay. Well, I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but it's not going to be like that all the time. Now, you have to understand that starting a team involves a lot of troubles. You have to figure out your own little system. For example, I wasted a lot of time when I started my first team recruiting some players, and then later on finding out that these players just weren't as driven as me, or that didn't have the same goal as me with the game. And it was like months, like 4 months. They were in my team, and it turned out that I wanted to be serious and I wanted to push the team to do this, and that. And the other players just didn't put as much time and effort into the game as I did. They didn't took it as seriously. It wasn't like a ride or die thing for them, where it was for me. I practiced more than them. I watched more than them. You know, I researched about it more than them. For them, it was just another after-school activity. Like, you know, when you go after school and then you play some football with your friends, whatever. That's what it was to them. But to me, it's a stepping stone towards something greater. I have to make this work. And we just weren't on the same page. So we wasted a lot of time. And through that, I learned that when you recruit people into your team, you have to make your goals and intentions very, very clear. Because if you don't, that's what will happen. You end up getting people on your team that aren't on the same page, that don't have the same goals and aspirations as you do, and you'll waste time. So that's one thing I learned, is how to recruit the right people, how to set the right culture, right? How to stop people from arguing. You know, you got egos going on, you know, young teenagers being good at the game. This ego is flying all over the place. Right? I'm the better player, so more resources should be invested into me. It's like, no, but this meta favors my role, so more resources should be favored into my role. Yeah, but who cares about the meta? I'm just that good of a player in this role that we'll win anyway if you put more into me, blah, 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 blah. And you have to sort that out. You have to be the guy that goes, look, we're going to do this, this, and this. And if you don't like it, then you can't play on the team because blah, blah, blah. You have to be the guy to put your foot down. I know it's hard for a lot of you. I know it's hard because some people are too nice. A lot of people, they're too nice. They don't want to just go, oh, hey, we need to do this. And if we can't do this, then I'm afraid that it can't work. I'm sorry, it just can't work. You have to do this. Right? They're afraid to put the foot down and say that. And because I was too nice, there were so many ego clashes going on, I couldn't make a decision. I was such a terrible leader. That's something I had to learn as well. How to be a leader to make the decisions, right? Because if I make the team, that defaults me as the team captain. So I have to be the one that makes the decisions. But I was too much of a nice guy. I didn't want to be rude. So I let everything fly. You know, people were late and I was too afraid to tell them off. Right? People were arguing and I was too afraid to tell them off. People were too unprofessional towards the other team in chat and I was too afraid to tell them off. Right? That's another thing I learned, is how to tell people off. Now, all these skills, what I'm getting at is I never intended to learn them. It wasn't fun learning them. Right? Like I mentioned, wasted a lot of time, had a lot of headache dealing with people, arguing with each other, you know, an HR department. All I wanted to do was to get good at the game. I didn't want to learn all that stuff, but I knew I had to. I knew to compete at that level, I had to do it, even if I didn't like it, right? It's about how bad you want it. And this is where a lot of amateur teams fail, because they reach that level, they think it's all sunshine and rainbows, like I mentioned. They're like, oh, everyone's going to be on my team. Oh, it's going to be so happy and we're all going to win games, yay. And then they get to the point where they start dealing with all the bullcrap, all the people egos, all the time wasters, all the unprofessionalism. And that's when they're like, oh, you know what, this is too much. Oh, you know what, you guys can go do whatever you want. Yeah, I'm going to go do whatever I want. Don't worry about the team anymore, and they're done. That's 99% of what amateur teams do. That's how they end up splitting up, because the team owners find out that they suddenly have to deal with all this admin stuff and that they didn't sign up for. I didn't sign up for it, but because I wanted to be competing at that level so bad that I dealt with it anyway. Right? It's about how bad you want your goal. I wanted it so bad that it didn't matter that I had to deal with all the admin stuff. If that's what I had to go through, fine, I'll do it. Because I want to reach to that point, right? Discipline, right? Now, what else taught me discipline? Now, some people have the misconception of esports, right? Your job is to play video games. Oh my God, that's so fun, right? I wish I could play video games all day and make money. Well, here's the thing. You're assuming that you're playing the video game for fun every time and playing money. But when it comes to esports, even though initially you did choose to play a video game and compete for fun, it doesn't become just for fun anymore. For fun comes second to winning tournaments, to acquiring fan bases and sponsors. That comes before having fun. That's what matters in esports. And a lot of people want to do some copium and be like, well, you know, at the end of the day, you have to have fun, otherwise there's no point. It's like, no. In esports, that's how it is. The game is fun, so you play it. Cool. But if you want to compete, you have to accept the fact that having fun comes second to your job, to making the organization money. Because that's what competing is all about. Right? It's about competing at the highest level. Yes, it's for people to watch, but it's also your livelihood. Right? If people didn't make all this money and if you didn't get paid, then you don't have a livelihood. So it's not just about having fun. Now, well, how do you not have fun playing a video game that you chose to compete for? I don't understand. Well, let's compare that to something else in life. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. Let's say you originally started a job, right? You know, everything's fresh. Everything's new. You're still learning. It's all good. It's pretty interesting. It's a change of pace to whatever the hell you were doing before. But, you know, as long as you do that job for a long time, like, let's say 3 to 5 years, you might go, you just get bored. You're like, oh, I have to get up at the same time every morning. Oh, I have to get up at Monday morning and then drive here and then, it just becomes a chore. And that's exactly no different from a video game. No difference. Becomes a chore. All right? You play, becomes a chore. I practice every day. I used to practice like 10, 12 hours a day. That became a big chore. Even going to scrims with my team became a chore. You know, because I was working off Australian time. I live in New Zealand. I'm 2 hours ahead of them. So I have to wait for them. Because all my teammates were Australian. So I stayed up later to scrim with them. Right? Every time it's like, I have to skip dinner. Because my parents cooked dinner late. So I had to skip dinner to scrim with my team. And after I'm done with the scrims, which for me is about 11 at night, then I can eat dinner. So every time a scrim day comes up, like, oh, today's Wednesday, I gotta go to the scrim. I can't just relax, you know, come back from school and relax and play video games like whatever the hell I want. I have to do scrims. Doing scrims is completely different than just playing the game, because you're with a team, you're constantly communicating, you're constantly figuring out how to win. After every game, you're trying to find the problem. You're trying to get all this feedback, trying to make it constructive, and trying to apply it to your team, trying to apply it to the next game, and then you have to keep the team morale up if you have tilted teammates. And if a new patch comes in, then you got to figure that out. And then you got to figure out what the practice goal is for the next time. You know, what did you take out of this one? It's a lot more mentally engaging and a lot more mentally straining to play a scrim and to actively improve as a team than just going home and just playing the video game for the sake of it. Right? It became a chore, but I stuck to it because that was the only way that I can make, that my team can improve, that I can get them up there, is to constantly practice. If we don't practice, you get rusty, right? So it became a chore, but I did it anyway because I wanted to be at that level that bad. It got to the point where I didn't care how I feel anymore. I didn't care that I didn't feel excited about going to scrims anymore. I didn't care about the fact that I wasn't happy losing games in scrims every time anymore, because we always versed teams that were better than us. I didn't care that I had to deal with potential teammates tilting anymore. I didn't care that after the scrims I had to go watch the game and write more notes instead of just watching Netflix or playing more games myself. I didn't care about all that, because all I cared about was getting to that level that I wanted to be. And doing all that is what it took to be at that level, and that's all I cared about. So I did it anyway. I didn't care about how I feel. Didn't care if I felt sad. Didn't care if I was angry. I became a robot. I just performed. If I perform, I perform. If I don't, then I don't. I didn't have time to feel sad if I did bad in the game. I didn't have time to feel sad. I had to go back immediately. Stop wasting time. Why did you do bad? What happened? What was the blunder in that game? How could you fix it next time? What was the habit you're going to try and develop from that mistake? Immediately I went to that. I didn't have time to feel sad and angry and frustrated and tilted and started blaming everyone else or whatever. That's part of discipline, right? And another thing about competing at their games is that games always change, right? Every couple of weeks or every month, depending on the game that you're playing, the developers update the game where they change certain stats of the characters or how certain mechanics work, or, you know, they add a new map or whatever. And because of the game's constantly changing, you also have to adapt to it. And there will be a lot of times where the game changes against you, right? There'll be some times where the game changes in your favor, so maybe the characters that you like to play are very strong temporarily in that patch. But then there'll be the opposite, right? There could be extended periods of time. For me, it was like half a year. Extended periods of time where the characters you play are extremely bad. And as someone that competes, you can't afford to just have fun and play whoever you think it's fun and play whoever you want. No. You have to play to perform, to get wins on the board in these big tournaments and in these competitions that you're playing for. You can't afford to mess around with just the characters you like if they're bad. You have to play the characters you don't like if they're good. If that character is good this patch and you don't like him, nobody cares. He's good. He gives you the most chance of winning, so you have to play him. It doesn't matter. I remember this when I was competing in Overwatch. Some of you watching might have been my teammates. You may have remembered this moment, right? Where the only character that was good was this character that I didn't really play, right? I play like a certain role, and the role has like different characters. But at that time, all the characters in that role were crap except for one character. And I had to play that one character for a very, very long time. A very long time. Every single game, every single scrim, right? Even outside of scrims and tournaments and in my solo queues, I had to play that character because I had to practice. I can't just be like, oh, let's take a break and play this character that I like who's actually really, really bad right now, and I never know when they'll get good again. No. You have to play the character that's good right now. Because you need to practice. You didn't have time to waste because everybody else is practicing. If you waste time, then they're just getting ahead of you. I remember going to bed after these practice sessions and scrims. I'd turn the computer off, turn my monitor off, brush my teeth, blah, blah, blah. And as I would lie down to go to sleep, I can still hear the character's gun noises in my head. That's how much I play the game. It's still going off in my head as I fall asleep. While everything's off, while I'm in my bed, I can still hear the game. That's how much I played. That's how much I practiced. Right? I mean, that's what you have to do. Again, it's how bad you want it. I wanted it to be at that level so bad that it didn't matter if I didn't like playing the character I like. And some of you might sit there and go, well, the whole point is to have fun. You know, and if you don't think it's fun, then you shouldn't do it. Yeah, but to me, fun wasn't the whole point. It was what got me into playing the game in the first place. But the whole point for me was reaching that goal that I've set out for myself. It's for overcoming certain adversities to reach where I want to be. Right? To make a team, to compete. By then, I already made a couple of teams, so I knew what it took, and I was rather efficient at it. But it was still troublesome. It was still work I had to do that didn't involve actually playing and practicing in the game. But I did it anyway. Didn't like it. Did it anyway. Right? I remember this one time. Some of you is going to think it's a bit of a sad story, and it is. You know, I played on stage, and we won the game. And my teammates' parents, they were all in the crowd. And after we won the game, there was a time period where, you know, my teammates got to hug their parents. You know, they went to hug their parents. And they had this moment, and my parents weren't there because at the time I didn't think they support the esports idea. I didn't think they were on board with it at all. If anything, I thought they were just completely against it. So I never told them about the tournament. I just left the house, went to the tournament. They didn't know. And as my teammates were hugging their parents, I was standing there, watching them hugging their family, looking at their family, supporting them. It was a bittersweet feeling because I was so happy for them that as a team captain and as someone that made the team, I can get them to that point. I got them there to for their parents to be proud of them in that moment, for them to be so happy winning on stage. I got them there, and I'm really happy for that. But at the same time, with my parents not being there, it was pretty sad. It was pretty sad. And I use that sadness to fuel myself. As soon as I looked at the scene and I felt the inkling of tears starting to come up in my eyes, I immediately turned around, went to the backstage and started reviewing the game, started writing notes. Right? I didn't let the sadness break myself down. Right? I'm sad that they had parents that supported them and I didn't at the time. Right? But I was like, hey, there's no time to feel sad. That just means that you have to prove yourself more. That just means there's more work to be done. There's no time to be sad. Get back to work. So I did. I got back to work. So that's discipline. Discipline is about doing the things you need to do. I'm glad I learned discipline that way. I didn't have to have anybody else push me or anybody else keep yelling in my face. I learned this all through my own experiences and my own choices throughout esports. I learned this because I had a goal and I was so obsessed with achieving that goal and reaching that point that I did it no matter what it took. And that's what discipline's about. It's about how bad you want the goal. It's about doing what you need to do regardless of how you feel. It's about controlling your emotions and using them, channeling them as fuel for your endeavors. That's what discipline's about. Doing what needs to be done regardless. The world doesn't wait. The world doesn't care about how you feel. The world still moves on. Sun still rises. People still make money. Things move on. You don't have time to sit there and dwell on your feelings and do nothing. Take those feelings. Don't just sit on them. Channel them into something. Use them as fuel. Use them as fire, whether it's sadness, whether it's anger, frustration. Use them as fuel for your endeavors. Do what you must. There are things to be done. Do what you have to be done, regardless of how you feel. And that's how I learned discipline through esports. And remember, guys, stay focused, stay relentless, and I'll see you on the next one.